Fox, presented by Dr. Pepper. Winner to the Rose Bowl. We've got a first-timer in the championship game this season in Utah, the champions out of the South. And Washington, ranked number 11, trying to make it 2 conference championships out of the last 3 seasons. Glad you're with us. Joe Davis with Brady Quinn. And while, Brady, a lot of the conversation these days focuses on which teams are going to be in the playoffs, who are those 4 going to be. You understand that. But this is still a championship game, and the Rose Bowl is still the Rose Bowl.
There's no doubt about it. Look, Washington, they had higher aspirations. Didn't work out for them this year, but still a chance to win the Pac-12, go to that Rose Bowl, something they haven't done since 2000. And for Utah, for head coach Kyle Whittingham, this is what he's been building towards since they came into the Pac-12. Their first South outright division title, an opportunity now to win the Pac-12. And this would be a redemption for them, too, for losing against Washington earlier this year. Yeah. Here's what we're in store for. Did you watch Thursday Night Football on Fox last night? See that defensive battle?
Yeah.
That's what we've got between these two teams. The top 2 scoring defenses in the Pac-12 scoring off for the first time in the championship game.
Which is interesting. When you think Pac-12, you think the ball flying all over the place, all kinds of points. Washington, so they lose 2 of 3 to finish October. Some folks saying they're shot, right? But then they go 3-0 in November, and they do it on the shoulders of Myles Gaskin.
The model of consistency when you talk about running backs in the Pac-12. No one in the Pac-12 has been able to run for 4 1,000-yard seasons like Myles Gaskin. He's a complete back. He's physical. He's elusive. He's tough to tackle out in space. And probably the best thing about him is really his vision. And when you look at this Washington offense, they do so many things that make it difficult to stop. The first is the personnel. 2 tight end sets. They put 2 running backs in the game as well. And that's the unbalanced formation. So before the snap of the football, you're already having to think and adjust. And then after the snap, they put in the fake around play. And next thing you know, you're trying to stop that gap scheme. Myles Gaskin is 10 yards downfield with a head of steam, headed the end zone. It's incredibly tough to stop.
As far as Utah goes, they started conference play 0-2, yet here they are. They lost their starting running back. They lost their starting quarterback. So we're now talking about a freshman in Jason Shelley who's taken over at quarterback.
He's been unflappable. I mean, for a freshman to be able to take over like he has and help lead this team to the Pac-12 championship game, it's been incredible. But he's taking on arguably the most experienced and, look, one of the most prolific passers we've ever seen. Is the winningest quarterback in Jake Browning. What a storied career that he's had. And this game is going to come down to which one of these 2 quarterbacks takes care of the football.
Oh, with Jason Shelley 3-0 as a starter, and he's not turned it over since becoming the starting quarterback. Getting closer to kickoff for the Pac-12 championship. We've got the national anthem on the other side of this break. Off we go in the Pac-12 championship. Darrell Daniels inside the 5 and into the end zone for the Washington touchdown. He's got McIntyre off his hands and picked off.
Taylor Rapp, heck of a year for Washington.
Browning feeling the heat. A one-handed catch by John Ross.
This is just a heck of a play.
Chris Peterson and the Huskies, Pac-12 champions. That was in 2016. It was the 6th consecutive year that the champion came out of the North. Last year, the first time that the South Division won the Pac-12 championship. Let's go to the public address announcer now, Kate Scott, for the introduction of tonight's national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, to perform the national anthem, please welcome Zena Ellis, star of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, performing at the San Jose Center for the Performing Arts through Sunday.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets at glee, the bombs bursting in it, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
getting closer to kick. The teams take the field when you come back to Santa Clara. Night for football here in Santa Clara in the Pac-12 championship with a trip to the Rose Bowl at stake. Time to meet these teams now. First off, the 17th ranked Utes.
Who's in the shadow?
Are you ready?
Who's ready to play?
Because the time is now.
The hunter
Time to see what the Utes are all about.
with the prey.
A relentless defense.
What a hit!
This Utah defense was vicious and mean.
And an offense that could put on a show.
This is a wild game of survival.
Are you kidding me?
Wild game of survival.
Yeah, this is our first time here.
Y'all ready?
But we're not stopping now.
Showtime!
We're coming for the Pac-12 title.
Every man, every play, everything you got.
This is our moment. This is Utah football.
Go Utes!
In the championship game for the first time and in search of their first trip to the Rose Bowl. Here come the Utes.
Husky Nation! Husky Nation! Husky Nation, let's go!
Look at him go. Still running. Pressure, and he's sacked. He's got touchdown Washington.
We are the Washington Huskies, Pac-12 North champions.
Washington will head to the Pac-12 championship for the second time in 3 years.
The purple rain is here, and we're not leaving without a crown. Our dogs are ready to pounce. With our hard-nosed defense and our offense that can light up the scoreboard.
Touchdown Washington.
By the end of the night, the Kings of the North will rule the Pac-12 again.
There goes Myles Gaskin.
This is our night! Let's go!
This is your time if you want it now.
This is our night! Let's go!
How big is your heart? $100.
Husky Nation, rise up.
If you want the rain, it'll be coming down.
Looking for their second Pac-12 championship in 3 years and their first Rose Bowl trip since 2000. Here come the Washington Huskies. Trying to salvage a season that began with playoff aspirations and a number 6 ranking, but a 3-0 November after they lost those games in late October against Oregon and against Cal, and a lot of people had written them off. But ripping off that 3-0 finish and setting up this date with Utah. Time now for the coin toss as the captains take the field. The referee of this Pac-12 crew is Chris Coit.
Welcome both teams to the 2018 Pac-12 championship game. The University of Utah is the designated visitor. University of Washington, the designated home team. Utah is the visitors. You will call the coin toss. The Pac-12 logo is heads. The initials are tails. Pac-12 logo heads, initials tails. What is your call?
Tails!
Tails is the call. Steve, if you would do the honors. It is a tail. You've won the toss. Utah is deferring their choice to the second half. In the first half, Washington receiving at the south end zone. Good luck.
Just about set to go. We'll take it a break with our Progressive Insurance game countdown. It is Utah and Washington in the Pac-12 championship, with the winner to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl. Opening kickoff coming up on Fox. Well, these teams met in Salt Lake City in September. It was the third lowest scoring Pac-12 game this year, and that's kind of what you expect. The top two defensive teams in the conference going head-to-head for a title. And for a couple of the guys in the middle of those defenses, for more on them, here's Petros Papadakis.
Thanks, guys. We have an unbelievable, angry matchup between the two best defenses on the West Coast, and we have great linebackers in this game. Ben Burr-Kirven. This guy leads the nation in tackles. He's a machine. And don't forget about the heaviest hitting man on the West Coast, Chase Hansen. Both seniors, great leaders. Now for the Washington perspective, over to Bruce Feldman.
Petros, one of the guys who really makes this Washington defense go is starting nickelback Miles Bryant. Now, he aggravated a hamstring injury last week in the Apple Cup, but he went around in warm-ups, felt pretty good on it. They feel pretty good about him. Two other things that defensive coordinator Jimmy Lake feels good. He's got Elijah Molden and Keith Taylor, two experienced, talented young backups that they can also rely on. Joe?
All right, Bruce. Washington looking for its second Pac-12 championship in 3 years and their first trip to the Rose Bowl since 2000. Utah in the championship game for the first time in its 8th year in the conference and trying to go to the Rose Bowl for the first time in program history. All set. Off we go in the Pac-12 championship. Washington to start at the 25-yard line with their senior quarterback, the all-time leading passer at Washington, the starter from day one, nearing the end of his college career. What a career it's been for Jake Browning.
He's been incredible. And you look at it, he's the winningest quarterback in Pac-12 history. We talked about that. What makes him so special, though, his intelligence, his accuracy, and he's a guy who really isn't bothered by anything, whether it's pressure, whether it's the good games, bad games. He responds, he comes back, and he leads this football team. He's just had a remarkable career here at Washington.
With this offense for the Huskies, it'll start from the 25-yard line out of an empty set. And Jake Browning looks to throw on the game's first play. It's a crossing Andre Bocelli, who's coming off his biggest game of the season and that Apple Cup win up in Pullman last week. A little nicer out, by the way. 28-15, they beat the Cougs for the 6th straight year.
And I think the key for Washington really is utilizing these tight ends. That's been the biggest thing since they've gotten back Hunter Bryant. They use a lot of 2 tight ends, 3 tight end sets to run the football, but they also create mismatches with the defense, and they force Morgan Scalley, the defensive coordinator, to figure out how he wants to play those big groups.
On first down, first carry from Myles Gaskin, trying to bounce it to the outside. He gets a couple, and after losing 2 of 3 in late October, part of that was Myles Gaskin was out with a shoulder injury. Since he's come back, they have put it all on his shoulders, haven't they?
Yeah, that's the style of play that I think offensive coordinator Bush Hamden for Washington wants. Everything's based off of the run game. Off of that, the play action pass, the boot game as well. And like I said, trying to find some of those mismatches like I talked about a moment ago. Hunter Bryant, who just entered the game, and take a look at Bush Hamden.
Here's Gaskin with a flag down. That was a free play. Chase Hansen making the tackle, but it looked like one of the defensive linemen for the Utes had jumped into the neutral zone.
Offside in the neutral zone at the snap. Defense number 92. 5-yard penalty. Replay second down.
Well, last week in that Apple Cup game, Brady, we saw Jared Hilbers go out with an injury, and Trey Adams, who's been an All-American in his career but has dealt with injuries for the last year or so, was pressed into a bigger role than they had planned for him, and he's starting tonight.
Yeah, he made the declaration that he wants to come back in redshirt. He wants to, even though he could leave and probably go to the NFL, he wants to show everyone he's 100% healthy, wants to put together another complete season to show the scouts how improved he is.
Gaskin running behind him with a hole off the left side for a Washington first down, with a stop coming from Marquise Blair. He's going to have his hands full tonight. Trey Adams is with Bradley and I. They're 6 in white, the leader in the Pac-12 in sacks, and really with this entire Utah defense.
And what makes them so special is really their cornerbacks, not necessarily the guys up front. They're good. It's the man-to-man defense they can play on the outside that allows the front seven to focus on everything in front of them.
They fake the jet sweep to Ahmed. Browning with the deep drop to let the routes develop, but the coverage downfield solid, so he has to heave it away. They play really good complementary football defensively, don't they?
Yeah, and it's a combination of things. They put that extra body in the box down around the line of scrimmage because they play man-to-man. I mean, look at the coverage downfield. That's Marquise Blair in the secondary. They're not fooled by it. They're not going to allow Washington to take some of these big chunks and big plays. It's tight coverage. They're going to force Jake Browning to be on time and very accurate with the football.
Where they're especially good is against the run. Number 5 in the country defending the run. Washington was able to get it going on the ground in the first meeting. Myles Gaskin ran for 143. He's got it here with a big hole off the right side and carries Corian Ballard for a gain of 9, setting up 3rd and short.
And check out the way the tight ends for Washington block. So you're going to see 87 come across, and he's going to set a cutoff point, and then Gaskin is going to wrap to the backside. It creates a natural seam in the defense. This is what makes the Washington rushing attack so tough to stop. When you're a fast flow defense like Utah, a lot of times the offense is going to try to use a little bit of misdirection in order to get you out of your gap and find those seams.
Best 3rd down offense against best 3rd down defense in the conference here on 3rd and 1. Gaskin again. Stop and start and found a hole, and that's what he does so well. So patient, such good vision. And the guy that has 4 1,000-yard seasons, first back ever to do that in the Pac-12, has a first down.
We talked to defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley about Myles Gaskin. What makes him so special? He said, well, when he's running behind these 6'6", 300-pound offensive linemen, and all of a sudden he pops out from behind them running full speed. He said he's a tough guy to tackle. Let's take a look at Morgan Scalley. What a tremendous job he's done during his time at Utah.
Huskies on the move here on the first possession, and again a heavy dose of Gaskin, this time hit in the backfield and drop. And it was Bradley and I, the junior out of Hawaii, who has turned into a leader for this defensive front.
And you're seeing it. He's a complete defensive end right there in front of you. He's athletic enough to shed blocks, keep contained, not allow the ball carrier to get to the outside. It's not just his ability to rush the passer. We'll see a dose of that throughout the course of the game.
Isn't it amazing how Utah always has good defensive linemen?
They breed them here. I mean, it's obviously technique and their coaching, but it's also recruiting and identifying the guys that work.
First touch for Aaron Fuller. He's been quiet the last few weeks. Leading receiver on the season for Washington. Picks up 4. 3rd and 7.
You know, on 3rd down, it's kind of interesting. I said this last week in the game we were doing the Apple Cup. Jake Browning has the 2nd most rushing attempts of running backs, quarterbacks, and anyone in the Pac-12 on 3rd down. That's part of his game. When he gets pressure, he will look to take off. He'll try to buy time to look downfield or find a seam to run for it.
And Utah has had some issues defending running quarterbacks. Out of the gun on 3rd and 7, setting up a screen. Here's Savon Ahmed out of the backfield, exploding past the chains for a first down. So sudden. The sophomore out of Kirkland, Washington gets just enough.
And they actually tried to run this play in their first matchup. It's a little swing screen. They're looking for Utah to be in that man-to-man coverage, and what they're trying to do then is get those offensive linemen out in space, matched up with the guy who was responsible for Savon Ahmed.
9th play of this opening drive for Jake Browning and the Huskies. First down from the 27. Back to Gaskin. Short gain with Chase Hansen making the tackle, and Hansen, a guy that Petros told us about off of the top, but a 25-year-old senior who got to Utah, Brady, in 2012. That's what, 6 years ago.
It seems like it's been there forever.
2 positions ago, though. He came as a quarterback, moved to safety, and now one of the top linebackers in the country.
He's got great football instincts. He obviously knows the game incredibly well from playing the opposite side. And it just seems like he can diagnose everything at the snap of the football, and he's always there to make plays.
Here's play action. Gaskin out of the backfield was open. The defense closes and limits him to a short gain. Ballard and Blackman pushed him out, and it's another third down.
You saw a screen the last third down. Great play call by offensive coordinator Bush Hamdan, very timely. But again, it's going to come down to matchups for Washington when you look at their pass game, in particular on third down. And the guy who's really come on of late is Hunter Bryant, number 1. It's slowly built up as he's gotten healthier this season. He was the 3rd leading receiver last year for the Huskies.
Hurt his knee late last season, came back a few games ago, better each game. Tight end to the left side of the formation, crossing the field, knocked down and incomplete. Incomplete, and it's 4th down as Mika Tafua got his hand on it and then nearly intercepted it.
You talked about the defensive line. They breed at Utah. What makes them so special is, check out right here. Look at Tafua. He's not able to get any penetration, but he's watching the eyes of Browning. They like to run the crossing routes, and he just gets his hands up into the passing lanes. And I gotta tell you, even if that ball did get past the line of scrimmage, Cody Barton was waiting for Hunter Bryant, the targeted receiver on the other side.
I think they need to credit center Nick Harris with a pass break up there. How about this, Brady? Washington on 4th down and 6 will go for it. Browning steps into a slant. It's broken up and incomplete. Jalen Johnson knocks it away, and this long Washington drive ends with a turnover on downs.
The sophomore out of Fresno, California, who's just had a phenomenal year. He's matched up at the bottom of your screen. It's one-on-one. They're going to run double slants. It's where you should be going with the football, but it's just a little bit behind. Tremendous play by Johnson to get his hand in on the football.
14 plays, but no points. Utah's offense gets its first crack at it after this.
Championship of the Pac-12, and we've never done it, and it's something that is really, in our estimation, the next step in our evolution as a program.
That was our Power of Ambition, sponsored by SoFi, personal finance company to fit your goals. Trying to do it in the 8th season that they've been in the Pac-12. Offense on the field for the first time, and the freshman quarterback Jason Shelley's first throw is incomplete as he was looking for one of his tight ends, Brant Keithy. Ben Burr-Kirven in coverage. Shelley out of Little Elm, Texas, took over for Tyler Huntley after the broken collarbone for Huntley in early November, and he's gone 3-0 as a starter.
Unflappable. I mean, he's handled the situation with poise. You talked to the coaching staff. They said he really wasn't affected by it. He was the same player that we saw in practice once he got into games, and he's giving us chances to win football games.
They put the electric Britton Covey in the backfield here for 2nd and 10. He's got it off the left side, tripped up at the line of scrimmage, a short gain, and quickly 3rd down.
I wouldn't be shocked if the ball doesn't go to Covey again on 3rd down. He's by far and away their most targeted receiver on this down. And this is what the Washington defense wants to force Utah to do, something they're not comfortable with. They want to run the football, but if you put them behind the sticks, it plays to their strengths with that great secondary for the Huskies against a freshman quarterback. The biggest key is not making any mistakes.
And while he's been good, he's not been good on 3rd down. Washington heating up the freshman. He was protected momentarily. Now extending the play. Burr-Kirven races to the sidelines to bump him out. The nation's leading tackler picks up his first tonight. A little bit like last week against BYU for Utah, a quiet start.
The reason why Ben Burr-Kirven is leading the country in tackles, look at the pursuit. He's shadowing the quarterback the entire time. He sees him the whole way. Jason Shelley, much like Tyler Huntley, he's athletic enough to take off and pick up some yards, and he'll be running the football too throughout the course of the game. You can tell that's by design. Washington's very aware of Shelley getting outside the pocket.
As has been talked about quite a bit in the lead up to this game, special teams, an area where Utah may have a distinct advantage. Mitch Wisnowski, 3-time Ray Guy Award finalist, booms one down there, and then Aaron Fuller is stopped by Terrell Burgess after a long first drive for Washington. They'll try to capitalize this time. Jake Browning back out there after this. To you by our good neighbors at State Farm. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, Bruce Feldman, Petros Papadakis. Back in Santa Clara, Washington back on offense.
And distributing the football in that first drive, 4 completions to 4 different receivers. We're getting 5 different guys.
14 plays, march it all the way down before turning it over on downs. Here Browning has time to get through his progression and dump it off to Gaskin for a short gain. We go down to Petros.
Joe, you just saw it. Utah's not getting much of a pass rush, and Jake Browning sitting there in that rocking chair throwing the ball. Gary Anderson was getting after his defense after that first long Washington drive, saying, get off the ball. We got to go. He wants more of an urgency from his front four.
That's going to be tough to do because right now the design of the Washington passing game is screens and short crossers, short passes. It's tough to do. They got to get their hands up in those passing lanes like we saw in the last drive.
Browning sees the defense, then makes the call. On 2nd and 9, he's back to throw with the blitz picked up. Across his body, ill-advised and incomplete. It was dropped by Corian Ballard. It's the second opportunity we've seen at a Utah interception go through the hands of a defender.
Yeah, and you're going to watch Corian Ballard. He's eventually going to come up and replace. Excuse me, he's right there on the other side of the field. Right here on the left side. And that's really the key, is if you get Jake Browning off the spot and you force him in positions where he's going to make throws where you can't see where he's going with the football, he likes to anticipate, but that works against you when you can't see where the defense is at.
They're down in 9. The play clock winding down. They motion Bocelli. Just get it off in time. Browning down the sideline, wants Fuller, but it's out of his reach, and it's 4th down with a tight coverage from Julian Blackman.
And that was a play that was successful earlier this year in their opening matchup, a Pac-12 play. Fuller working on Blackman, and this one just has a little bit too much juice on it. These cornerbacks are going to be tested. We talked to Kyle Whittingham, said they got a tough duty. You know, much like we talk about quarterbacks have to have a short-term memory, so do these cornerbacks when they get beat or when they make good plays.
Britton Covey, who averaged 15 yards per return in the first meeting, has a fair catch this time. Good hang time from Joel Whitford on a 43-yard punt. Jason Shelley and the Utes offense back to the field in the Pac-12 championship after this break. November, losing their quarterback Tyler Huntley, losing one of the nation's top running backs in Zach Moss. Those two guys together accounted for more than 80% of the team's offense to that point, that they've gone 3-0 without them. Britton Covey on the sweep, finds some room, and has a 1st down, the first of the game for Utah, crosses the 45 and a pickup of 16.
Utah is going to continue to move around Britton Covey. They know he's a game breaker for them. He's very versatile. Don't be shocked if he doesn't throw a pass to at some point in this game. They like to mix that in.
High school quarterback is 3 for 3 this season. Here they motion him out of the backfield and hand it off to Armand Shine, who's the man that's replaced Zach Moss at running back. First healthy season for Shine, who's had an opportunity earlier in his career to be the starting guy, but he's just not been able to get by those injuries. Finally staying healthy, getting another shot at it with Moss out.
He's a tough physical runner, and they tell you right now he's been one of the big reasons why they're in this position to still win a Pac-12 championship game. Not a complete back like Zach Moss. Passing downs, they'll bring in Devin Brumfield, and you'll see TJ Green as well.
Flip it to Covey. Washington was ready this time with Jordan Miller, the senior corner, tripping him up.
I mean, trick plays don't work against Washington, right? Chris Peterson is known for that. You better believe his defense is going to be prepared for the reverses and anything else that Utah tries to throw at Washington. Maybe it's the kitchen sink at some point, but it's what makes this defense so special. Really, the secondary players. Guys like Miller and Bryant. These guys are so physical in stopping the run from the outside.
Yeah, Miller said that meeting in September was one of the more physical games he's ever played in. Pressure out of the secondary is picked up. Coverage downfield is tight. He extends the play and now runs. Gets what he can, but it'll be 4th down. And boy, you saw the physicality from the secondary. One play, and then you see the tight coverage on the next.
There's nowhere to go with the football. If Washington does anything well, it's the way they're able to cover, in particular on 3rd down, and they really want you to throw short, and they're going to rally up and make the tackle. But it's frustrating because for Jason Shelley, they got him off the spot, and once they do that to you as a quarterback, your internal clock goes off, and you're saying, I need to get rid of the football right now, and really the timing of the play goes out the window as well.
Second punt for Wisnowski. Aaron Fuller waits back inside his own 10. coming after it. That has been one flaw for the special teams for the Utes this year. They've had 3 punts blocked. So flag down as Fuller takes the fair catch.
Another slow start, though, for Utah. It's been an issue for them this season.
During the kick, number 29 of the kicking team went out of bounds on his own and returned inbounds during the down. It's a 5-yard penalty added to the end of the play. First down. Timeout.
Yeah, Brady, to your point, 7 of the 9 wins for Utah this season they've trailed in. Now, that included that game last week. They were down 20-0, 27-7 against BYU and won. Teams in the Pac-12.
So take a look at Chris Peterson and Kyle Whittingham. Both guys talking about what's on the line, how excited they'd be to go to a Rose Bowl. Some stories behind both the head coaches and growing up on the West Coast. Looking forward to going to that game.
Gaskin into the arms of an eye. Chris Peterson in his 5th season here at Washington. It's amazing what he's done with this program in a short period of time. They're fighting for bowl eligibility the first couple years, and he's gotten it to the point where missing out on the college football playoff becomes kind of a disappointment. That's heady stuff in short time for him.
And look, this season, if not for 6 plays, it could have gone completely different for Washington. I mean, they've really found their groove in the latter part of the season. I think their team got healthier, and they started to find more of what works for them offensively and what their identity is.
Those 3 losses by a combined 10 points. Auburn, of course, week 1, and then in Oregon in overtime and against Cal. Sean McGrew stop and start to find a hole and turn nothing into a nice gain, setting up 3rd and 1.
Chase Hansen had a beat on that. He jumped to the outside, forcing McGrew to have to cut back inside. He was fortunate to even find a lane. These linebackers for Utah are so aggressive. They're so assignment sound. His job is to not allow the ball carry outside. He does that. Unfortunately, guys got out of their gaps on the inside. Allowed a lane.
Working out of the Wildcat here on 3rd and 1. That's Ty Jones motioned into the formation, and Gaskin with a direct snap. Hit by Hansen, but drags him for a first down.
It's so difficult to stop the Wildcat. You've really got to devote every single defender that you got, besides the guy covering the quarterback, to stop the run. That's the only way that you can nullify the advantage that the offense gets with all those blockers in front of Gaskin.
He and Browning back to their normal spots on 1st and 10. Another one of those multiple tight end sets for the Huskies. So 7 blockers in there for Gaskin, who doesn't have much room from it. Bradley and I off to a good start in this game, and we check in with Bruce.
Guys, when Chris Peterson got here, his first full recruiting class in 2015 really changed this program and has left quite a legacy. You got Jake Browning, who was the headliner, Myles Gaskin, probably the greatest running back this school has ever had, who, by the way, was only a 3-star guy, Ben Burke-Curvin, and about 5 other starters. The crazy thing is, it wasn't even ranked as a top 25 class, and it's really been the one that's changed this program again.
Working on a 2nd and 10 here, Bruce. Browning looking wide side, and a strong throw to Aaron Fuller, who steps out of the tackle of Julian Blackman and turns it into a big play. 27 yards into Utah territory.
This is what Jake Browning's been known for. On the money, outside, in stride, and then it allows Fuller to be able to force Blackman to have to make a tackle in space. He's able to pick up the additional yards. He's got a hand on that. You're looking at this passing attack for Washington. We didn't see it a week ago, probably largely because of the weather there in Pullman. You go back to the last performance of Jake Browning for 354 yards. It was against Utah last year. He's never reached that number since.
Here comes an end around. Savon Ahmed, a lot of room, a blocker in front. But a nice job to work around those blocks by the Utah defense. Jalen Johnson and Chase Hansen. That thing looked like it had a shot to be a big play, but wasn't.
What a job by Jalen Johnson, because he actually slowed up and kind of forced Nick Harris to almost make a decision, and it allowed Chase Hansen then to rally to the football and make the play. But you can see right there, Johnson's the one that actually turns him back inside and gets him to stop his feet.
They got him out there where they wanted him. That Nick Harris, 6'1", 300, not as good in space as 6 foot 190 Jalen Johnson and the former quarterback Chase Hansen. Kind of as advertised so far. Top 2 defenses in the Pac-12. No score after a quarter. Back to Santa Clara after this. Welcome back to the 2018 Pac-12 Championship on Fox, presented by Dr. Pepper. And then the first matchup of the top 2 defenses in the conference in the championship game. You have your first scoreless first quarter in championship game history.
It's kind of what we anticipated coming into it, right? 2 of the top defenses in the Pac-12. We've never seen that square off in the Pac-12 championship game. And I think it's a bit of a cat and mouse game, too, between the coordinators. These teams familiar with each other, obviously, and playing each other earlier this year.
Here's Gaskin slipping one man. That is all. Chase Hansen combining with Francis Bernard.
Gaskin averages over 4 yards per carry this season, the first quarter. Utah's held him to 2.8 yards per carry. So credit to the Utah defense, limiting so far the impact of Gaskin as he goes off the field.
In front of this 3rd down and 3, Gaskin carried it a season-high 30 times in the first meeting between these teams in Salt Lake City. Ran for 143 and a touchdown. But he comes off, and Savon Ahmed comes on for 3rd down.
Going up against man-to-man coverage, so it's going to be about Jake Browning picking his matchup.
3 receivers, a tight end and a running back to choose from. And on the slant, he finds Ty Jones, who juggles. It is picked off. Boy, that hit about 4 different players, and ultimately Javelin Guidry picked it off, and Utah takes over.
I don't know if Jake Browning could have thrown a better football. I mean, that was right on the spot for Ty Jones. He's at the top of your screen. Everyone else clears out in front of him. He does a good job of widening the defender, and it, again, you can't throw that football any better. Heads up play by Guidry to get his hands on the football.
Heads up play and heels up play from Ty Jones, giving him a chance. We check in with Bruce Feldman.
Guys, 2 things. Jake Browning went down the bench, basically fist bumped everybody on the offensive side and said, hey, we're good, we're good, we're good. Miles Bryant, the starting nickelback, who we told you about at the beginning of the game, who's dealing with the hamstring, he's been angsty. He's going to get out on the field. This is his first action of the game.
Yeah, he's out there. Stevis Bartlett steals the spotlight on this first down play, dropping Jason Shelley for a loss of 5.
You got to love that about Jake Browning, though. I mean, obviously, it wasn't his fault. He has to accept the interception, but just the leadership to keep encouraging guys, knowing that it's going to be a long physical battle, a long fight. Both teams coming off rivalry games last week. They got to get back up emotionally, probably physically too, especially for Utah, considering they got a day short as far as rest preparing for it.
Here's Covey, promptly tackled by Miles Bryant, who Jimmy Lake loves, doesn't he? He loves him some Miles Bryant, and just in talking to him, you got the sense that it was going to be really important that he was at least available some tonight.
Yeah, because he's going to be matched up on Britton Covey, and that's the 3rd down target for this Utah offense the majority of their plays and of their time. So when they choose to play man-to-man, that's the matchup that they want. And when you're dealing with a hamstring and you're a defensive back, it's tough because you're always being reactive. You need the hamstring in order to get out of your cuts.
And he's going to have to test it. There he is again, lined up over Covey on 3rd down. Shelley retreating, throwing behind Damari Simpkins. Quickly tackled by Ben Burr-Kirven, and quickly 4th down.
And that's all Ben Burr-Kirven, just rallying to the football. I mean, watch him. He's got eyes on Jason Shelley the entire way, and once he sees the crosser coming, he's able to get out in front. Such a good tackler in space. I don't know that enough players get credit for that. So tough to do. It's one of the reasons why the spread offense has become so popular, because it forces more pressure on defenders, not having the ability to let the other troops rally and make plays.
Looks like maybe Washington thinks they have something on punt block tonight. They've really come after Wisnowski a couple times. This is a short one, down around the 40.
That's been an issue for Utah this year.
Yeah,
so
they've had 3 of them blocked.
Been able to move the football. They just haven't been able to capitalize so far. It's almost reminiscent of Utah this matchup earlier this season.
The 21-7 Washington win. That was back on September 15th at Utah. Washington 11-1 all time against the Utes. Out of an empty set to open this drive. Browning hitting a crossing Bocelli, who beat Corian Ballard for a first down. His second catch of the day goes for a dozen.
Bocelli really came on last week for Washington, even though it was in a snowstorm. You like to mix them in throughout. That's a core concept when you see these crossing routes for Washington. They like to use them versus zone and man coverage. Reason being, the wide receivers do a good job of identifying if it's man or zone. If it's man, they can keep running, or if they see green grass. That's what you saw in that last play.
You go from an empty set to a 3 tight end set, and play action for Browning. Lets it fly. Incomplete. Wanted Hunter Bryant, who, as you said, Brady, has kind of changed this offense since he's gotten healthy the last few weeks.
And really pick your poison. Could have had Bryant up the seam, a little bit tighter coverage. It looked like Utah dropped the coverage on Drew Sample. He's going to be coming across the field. No one runs with him. It's one for Jake Browning, where if you can, you got to get off your first read. Maybe you find a window to Sample for a huge play. Look at all the attention, by the way, Bryant's getting.
That's a guy with 6 catches on the year total. They're all coming in the last 3 games. Came back from that knee injury. 2nd and 10. First run of the drive, and Gaskin accelerates into the arms of Chase Hansen, who's already got 6 tackles to add to his team leading total. 3rd and 7.
For Utah, the biggest key is, we talked about it earlier, Petros Papadegas, who's on the Utah sidelines, and I said, look, Gary Anderson's getting after this defense to get more pressure on Brown. I think that's going to be the biggest key. That's what led to the interception we saw earlier.
On 3rd down, he looks far side, then he gets chased and spikes it into the ground with Cody Barton applying the pressure.
Legal. Number 9 was in the area. 4th down.
Explanation for why no grounding, but it is 4th down as the senior Barton got to him.
It's tough sled when you're a quarterback and you got to screen, because that linebacker coming, usually the running back has him. So once he releases out to the screen, you just got to find a way to get back deep enough and get the ball to your running back. But Utah sniffed that out the entire way. Really nowhere to go.
Hard to find a better linebacking duo across the country than the Utes have in Hansen and Barton. Second punt for Joel Whitford. Fair catch from Covey. Taken at the 10. Utah back on offense on the other side of this break with a trip to the Rose Bowl up for grabs tonight in Santa Clara. Right here tomorrow night on Fox. Utah back on offense. Just 27 yards on 10 plays so far.
Utah's got to figure out a way of having more success on 1st and 2nd down. They've been in 3rd and 9 almost the entire time so far. It's tough to convert. 0 for 3 so far on the day. They'll give their defense a break too.
Yeah, they've been out there a lot. See, 13.5 minutes of this game out of the 19 or so that's been played. Washington's offense has been out there. Here's a slant and going up to get it. Solomon Enos. The ball came out as he went to the ground, but they signal a catch, and then down to the 23.
And credit Taylor Rapp, the safety, for coming in at the end of the play. I think the thing that's most impressive about it, in the day of in an age of targeting, and this would be the case of a wide receiver who would be considered defenseless.
And they did say incomplete.
He hits him right in the strike area. It's a completely legal hit. His head's out of it, uses his shoulder, and it's a jarring enough hit that Enos drops the football.
So 2nd and 10. Shelley tucks it and goes down, losing a few as Miles Bryant got him. Part of this Washington defense, and this is nothing new, but the #1 defense in the Pac-12 4 years in a row. That's been the case with the Huskies.
It's just incredible. And when you think about the fact that Jimmy Lake, co-defensive coordinator, takes over for Pete Kwiatkowski, it doesn't stop. And this has really been the case for Chris Peterson teams going back to his time with Boise State. Everyone thinks of the trick plays, the innovative offense with Chris Peterson. It's been defense wherever he's been.
Devin Brumfield, their best pass protector at running back, is in, but he swings out and takes the throw. Needs a couple of blocks. won't get him. Ben Burr-Kirven combining with Miles Bryant, and another 3 and out for the Utes.
Everything is playing into the hands of this Washington defense. This is exactly what Jimmy Lake and the coaching staff for Washington want. They force you to be in 3rd and long. They're putting Jason Shelley in positions where his first read's not there. He's got to work through his progression. It's really tough to do that when you're a young player, an inexperienced player like Shelley, and on top of it, you're going up against one of the best secondaries in the country.
And then you figure if you're Washington, eventually the young kid's going to make a mistake.
It's surprising Jake Browning's the quarterback with the interception first, which probably shouldn't have been one. But
another punt for Wisnowski. Fuller comes up to get it at the 41. And a short return to the 46 with another tackle from Terrell Burgess. Can Washington crack through first? No score midway through the 2nd quarter in the Pac-12 title game. Bruce Feldman, Petros Papadakis, and some Christmas characters.
And the U.
That's right.
That's the West Coast one, though. Some people in South Florida who wouldn't agree with that.
No score. 9:20 to go, 2nd quarter. Who will it be to break through first offensively? Jake Browning and the Huskies have had a couple of sustained drives, but a turnover on downs and an interception putting an end to them. Here's Gaskin, wants to throw it back to Browning. Instead, will tuck it and turn it into something. Well, they wanted to hit a big play. Instead, they'll settle for an 11-yard scamper from Gaskin.
I just love when Gaskin turned back to throw the ball to Browning. He was waving and going, no, don't throw it. Don't do it. It's not there. Trying to be tricky. Look at Gaskin, just figures out what to do with the football. He's a gamer, man. I mean, that's the only way you can describe him. When things break down, when they need someone to make a play, he's been the guy for 4 years.
They've got it in Utah territory for the 3rd time tonight. A wide snap pulled in by Browning, tries to go out the back door, then pays the price, getting sacked by Mika Tafua.
Really both sides, and it almost looked like the Washington offense wasn't ready or there wasn't clear communication. They checked the play at the very beginning, and then Tafua gets into the backfield. Anai was waiting for Browning on the opposite side. And there's the snap didn't get off to the best start, and really that play looked broken almost from the beginning.
I know you quarterbacks are tough, but this has got to be a little bit scary of a defensive front to look at.
Especially as much pressure as they get on opposing quarterbacks.
2nd and long, quickly to Bichelli. Trying to set up the blocks. He does to get a chunk back and then drags the much bigger Lucky Fotu to within a yard of the first down. They go from 2nd and long to 3rd and 1 on Andre Bichelli's big pickup.
Well, you'd like to get half back when you're in those 2nd and long scenarios. So they run a screen, they get Bichelli out in space. Look at the blocking. Fuller done a great job downfield. Trey Adams got involved too. And tough running by Bichelli, who's really come on of late. Led them in receiving last week, well, next to Bryant. But as far as receptions,
Bichelli's 173 pounds. Lucky Fotu's 323, and he was still able to drag him for a couple extra. On 3rd and 1, Jake Browning to sneak it. He's got a first down.
It's one of those reasons why he's got some of those rushing attempts too. Is
sneaking it.
Yeah, they're not afraid to use him in 3rd and 1. Arguably the most underutilized play in football now, the quarterback sneak.
Seems like too many teams overthink it these days, right?
Yeah, they want to send back a shotgun snap 5 yards and then try to get back that yardage with the football. Something you're seeing, though, is just how different the personnel is from this first matchup. In their first match, week 3 this year, 43% of the snaps were with 3 wide receiver sets. Now 80% are with 3 tight ends or 2 tight ends in the game for Washington.
Here comes Ahmed trying to get him around the edge. Washington, or Utah's got him hemmed in. Julian Blackman dropping him for a short loss. It's something Utah does as well as anybody. They're number 4 in the country in tackles for loss.
They're active up front, and it allows Cody Barton and Chase Hansen to get in the backfield. And Chase Hansen, 22 of those tackles for loss. But it's tough sledding versus both these defenses. They're so well coached, and really they're good tackling teams. It sounds simple, but sometimes when you want to be great, you got to do the simple things well.
Second down and 10. Ahmed squeezes through the hole. Tackled by Chase Hansen. 3rd and 5 coming up.
isn't the first time Washington's got down to this part of the field. I mean, they've been able to move the football. Unfortunately, it hasn't really turned over into points. Curious to see at some point we get Ty Jones another opportunity. Getting to that red zone. He's the most targeted wide receiver. A drop that led to an interception earlier in the game.
Lined up to the top of the screen. Defended by Jalen Johnson. He's got 4 inches on him if they decide to go that route. Browning looking his direction. Steps into the out pattern for Fuller, but it's incomplete. A misfire from Browning, and 4th and 5.
He's looking at Ty Jones, didn't like it, came back to his next read, his progression to Aaron Fuller. He's just going to run a simple out route, and this is a poorly thrown football. He's got to step on him. Got to put a little bit more on that, and we're seeing once again Washington deciding to go for it on 4th down.
Second time tonight, and Peyton Henry, as long in the season as 41, but you wouldn't think this is out of his range. But Chris Peterson rolling the dice on 4th and 5. Utah shows pressure. They bring a man off of the near side. Browning steps up. He tries to run for the first down and does to the 20. Fully extended for a gain of 7.
And this is why he's so opportunistic, and they're able to move the sticks. When you can run for a few first downs, it makes you that much more impactful as a quarterback. Drops back, feels the pressure, and a natural seam is created, and he takes advantage. Talked to the coaching staff early in the season for one of our games. They described him as, he's a scrambler. He's a guy that figures out ways of extending plays and moving the chains.
9th play of the drive is a Myles Gaskin run. No room this time, surrounded by white shirts, and Cody Parton brings him down.
Go back to those numbers in the red zone. We saw the first one of his career last week, an interception.
History.
It's unbelievable. The job he does taking care of the football. And it's hard for quarterbacks because you get in that condensed portion of the field, everything happens faster. You've got to be incredibly accurate and decisive with where you're going with the football.
Browning, out of Folsom, California, throughout his career, certainly has been one of the most prolific passers in Pac-12 history, winningest quarterback in Pac-12 history. Handed it off to Gaskin, made a man miss in the backfield, able to get a nice gain out of what looked like was going to be dropped for a loss. And instead of 3rd and long, it's 3rd and 2.
Lucky Fotu got into the backfield, was able to make Gaskin stop his feet, but he's so good laterally where he can stop and start and take off again. Utah defensive front. They're penetrators. They control their gaps. They allow those linebackers to run free, and it's going to be important here.
On 3rd and 2, they roll Jake Browning. Eyes in the end zone. Double clutches. Throws it up for grabs and incomplete. Wanted Cade Otton. Marquise Blair applied the pressure. And it's 4th and 2. This time Chris Peterson will send the field goal team out.
What about this Utah defense, though? 3rd and short. They're not fooled by it at all. A little roll right by the Washington offense, trying to look for a natural pick to the running back and then maybe to the tight end. Good job by Blackman getting in coverage, getting a hand up to disrupt Otton, who's now the down man on the field.
We're going to take a quick break. Back for the field goal attempt in 30 seconds. Jogs off under his own power, and Washington sends the redshirt freshman Peyton Henry to the field to attempt this. And we quickly go down to Bruce.
Guys, just on the field goals, the wind's really blowing in Washington's face, so that may have factored into them not going to kick when it was about over 45 yards before.
This one much more manageable, Bruce, from 29. And finally, some points in this Pac-12 championship as Henry knocks it through. That is now 6 of 7 since his miss near the end of regulation at Oregon. It's a game they ultimately went on and lost in overtime. But the freshman's gotten things on track and has gotten the Huskies on the board here with 3:08 left in the first half. Coming up at the half, stay tuned. Rob Stone, Dave Wannstedt, Matt Leinart, Robert Smith for the State Farm halftime show. Another championship game tonight, the MAC championship. They'll detail the highlights of that one and look ahead to tomorrow's Big Ten championship, Northwestern and Ohio State. And make sure you stay tuned as well at halftime. The Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway. 2 deserving students are going to compete in a life-changing grand prize on the line. $100,000 in tuition from Dr. Pepper and Petros Papadakis. Nobody as good as Petros at on-field emceeing of Dr. Pepper competitions.
Don't go anywhere.
Must-see TV, that guy.
That's appointment television right there.
Covey back to return this kick. The Utes right now might feel like that's their best chance at offense. Covey returning one. Here, though, he takes a fair catch. And they'll have it at the 25-yard line. Trying to solve this Washington defense, which is led by the nation's leading tackler, Ben Burr-Kirven.
Everything funnels to Ben Burr-Kirven. But even in the passing game, Burr-Kirven is active in coverage, but also tracking down Jason Shelley whenever he does decide to leave the pocket. Coming into the game, he leads the country and tackles 155. He's a sound tackler. He's a sideline-to-sideline guy. He's just got those football instincts that you look for. And the story earlier this year, Chris Peterson's only concern with Ben Burr-Kirven is could he last at his size throughout the entire course of the season.
Here comes Armand Shine. Fighting his way forward for a gain of 4 or 5. Burr-Kirven, a local guy out of Menlo Park, California. Wasn't heavily recruited for some of the same reasons that Chris Peterson was curious if he could last a full season. He's just not very big, 6 foot 220, and it's a whole lot smaller than that when he was getting recruited out of Menlo Park. But what a get, and what a career he's had. Here's Covey taking the fake, and Shelley into the short side of the field, extends the ball and gets a couple. 3rd down.
And Shelley's going to have to do more throughout the course of the game of that. I mean, he's going to have to take off, find ways of making plays with his feet. Maybe some of the quarterback design running game as well. You look at this offense, how it's changed since he's taken over. They throw the ball half as much as they did when Tyler Huntley was at quarterback. He takes some of the pressure off his shoulders. Give him some easier passes, whether it's screens or finding ways to get Britton Covey the football out in space.
They have done nothing so far offensively. 15 plays, 38 yards, trying to convert 3rd down for the first time, and they do, hitting a tight end. The freshman Cole Fotheringham for a gain of 10 and the first 3rd down conversion tonight for the Utes.
That's a soft spot in the zone coverage, and you're going to see it just kind of splits, almost like the Red Sea, and Shelley taking advantage.
Shine for 3. 1:47 and counting. Both teams all 3 timeouts.
And remember, Utah gets the ball coming out of half. And so you'd like to try to double up here. Continue to keep moving the chains, moving the sticks. Figure out some way of getting some points on the board. The one thing is key here is try to finish out the half with the ball in your hands.
I guess why they've not used one of those 3 timeouts yet. Kind of that fine line, not being too aggressive with the timeouts. See where they get here on 2nd and 6. Shelley pulls it in the run pass option. It's Fotheringham again into Washington territory for the first time tonight.
Talk about an RPO. Those run pass options. He stuck that football in Shine's stomach about as long as you can without sacrificing ball security and found Fotheringham. I don't blame the defense for getting fooled on that.
Clock winds near a minute. Some signs of life for the Utes. First down from the 40. Here comes Shelley making a cut and going down. And the Utes will use their first timeout with 52 seconds. We'll take the timeout with them and come back in 30 seconds. Cards from Fansville, sponsored by Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. A lot of Utah fans making the trip tonight for their first trip to the Pac-12 championship game. Hoping to see their team punch its ticket to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl, where they might need to get another itinerary to go to a first-time thing.
It's an exciting time. I mean, this is what Kyle Whittingham and Utah fans have been waiting for since they entered the Pac-12. Now an opportunity to try to capitalize on that and capitalize on this drive.
2nd down and 9 out of the timeout. It's Armand Shine. So they keep it on the ground. Ben Burr-Kirven makes the stop, and it is worth mentioning here as they play it conservatively. They've got one of the nation's top kickers, maybe the best long-range kicker in the country in Matt Gay, who has 7 makes in his career greater than 50 yards.
Yeah. Kyle Winningham told us he feels comfortable from 58 at sea level. Got to factor that in when you play in Salt Lake, right?
Yeah, from here it'd be 53. Washington brings pressure and knocks him right out of Matt Gay's field goal range. Taylor Rapp, the safety. Yes, the safety with his team-leading 5th sack.
Well, that's one of those mistakes that you make when you're inexperienced as a quarterback. Take a look at Taylor Rapp. He's going to key on the blitz here. It's a little bit of a delayed blitz coming from depth. And what that allows for is once the offensive line takes up their assignments, they don't account for Rapp. Shelley doesn't see him until it's too late. And the biggest mistake there is it takes him out of field goal range.
Guy that was the championship game MVP 2 years ago in Washington took down Colorado in the Pac-12 title game. 3-0 through with a half. Defensive battle. And we go to Rob Stone and the guys in Los Angeles.
All right.
I'm getting better and I'm getting better and I'm getting better and I'm feeling it right now.
Welcome back to the 2018 Pac-12 Championship on Fox, presented by Dr. Pepper. Ready to roll with the second half. Welcome back to Santa Clara. Joe Davis and Brady Quinn. It's 3-0 after 30 minutes, and we welcome it back inside. And it's been a defensive dominant game so far, and it's impressive and everything, but I'm just going to say what everybody's thinking. We're going to see some offense in the second half.
At some point, I don't know. I think Chase Hansen and Ben Burr-Kirven are working their way towards about 100 tackles apiece in this game. Bottom line is Washington needs to start to capitalize on some of their plays. We saw some missed throws from Browning, a missed opportunity by Ty Jones on the tip ball that ended up being an interception. But they've been moving the football into Utah's side of the field. They're just not capitalizing. And Utah's offense, they've got to get something going more in the run game. They can't keep putting themselves in 3rd and long. They were 1 for 6 in the first half. It's tough to move the sticks when that's the case.
Let's go down to Bruce Feldman.
Guys, I talked to Chris Peterson about the offense and the lack of production. He said, we got to keep pounding them. We got to stay patient, but we got to take some shots. We got to give our guys a chance. For more on the Utah sideline, Petros Papadakis.
Well, I'll tell you what, Coach Whittingham echoed exactly what Brady said. They want to commit to the run game and get in better situations offensively. Utah wants to take the line of scrimmage. Going to be hard because T.J. Green, the fabulous freshman tailback who played early, is sick, so he's not available. Kyle Whittingham obviously very happy with the way his defense has played. Joe?
All right, gentlemen, here we go with the second half. And Britton Covey will get an opportunity here on special teams. He will from the goal line. But he is drilled shy of the 20-yard line. And we take a look at our Geico first half stats. Just 61 total yards for the Utes during that first half. Their fewest in any half since 2014, although fairly close to the story against BYU last week when they had just 86 yards in the first half. And as they get ready to start this first drive of the second half, Britton Covey yet to get up after absorbing that big hit on the return from Dominique Hampton.
And you hope he's all right. And for those who watched the first matchup between these two teams earlier this season, Britton Covey took some shots in that game. And he was tough as can be, got up every time, continued to keep fighting. Let's take another look. It's hard to tell there.
You're talking about that first meeting. Byron Murphy had one of the hardest hits of the year late in that game.
It's a concept Utah runs often. Washington defense got a feel for it. Byron Murphy was waiting for it, and that's completely legal. Led with the shoulder, kept the head out of it, hit within the frame, didn't involve the neck or head area. There's a number of shots in that game he ended up taking. It's good to see him get back up. He's an integral part of this offense, huge in the passing game, something that really hasn't gotten going for Utah yet.
And you saw him there trying to rev up his team, rev up his fans behind the sideline as he limps his way off. I mean, we saw how big of a focus he was in the game plan for the first few plays of the game. They put him in the backfield right away. They motioned him through the formation. They try to get him the ball any way they can. And now they're without him, at least to begin this second half.
I talked at halftime about their struggles on third down, 1 for 6 in the first half. He's by far and away the most targeted receiver, and obviously included a little bit in the rushing attack too.
So they load everything up with a power formation, hand it off to Armand Shine for a gain of 2. He's got just 16 yards on 5 carries. Now, last week, they didn't score a touchdown until the final minutes of the third quarter, and then exploded in the fourth, coming from down 20-0, down 27-7 to beat BYU by a touchdown.
And really, the game was sealed with a Jason Shelley run to basically get a game out of reach for BYU.
Here's Shine again. Burr Curvin with another tackle, body slamming him down after a few. And I get the feeling you think that if they're going to come back and get some offense, Shelley's going to have to be part of it on the ground again.
Yeah, Washington's not going to allow Armand Shine to beat them running the football. They're going to put all the pressure on the freshman quarterback to beat him with his legs or beat him through the air. And the unfortunate part is coming into tonight's game, he was only completing 43% of his passes on third down. I know he hasn't played that much, not a big sample size, and his only interception came in relief of Tyler Huntley on third down versus Arizona State.
The percentage you mentioned for the freshman on third down, worst in the Pac-12. Here they empty it out for him. Washington brings pressure, floats one outside, and hits his high school teammate Jalen Dixon. Breaks a tackle, crosses the 45, providing the biggest play of the night for the Utes, 26 yards.
When Dixon's just working one-on-one, and he wasn't the first read. He's working against Elijah Moten. See the stick to the outside? He's probably the fastest player on the field tonight. Blazing speed. You get him in open space, he knows what to do with it. But Jason Shelley looked to his first read, wasn't there, came back to Dixon. Nice football. That's how you move the sticks.
Now they fake it to Dixon, hand it off to Shine, who couldn't get going. Jordan Miller on corner blitz brought him down.
Go back to their struggles on third down. They hadn't converted a 3rd and 6 plus. And again, part of that was the lack of production on first and second down as they find themselves once again 2nd and 9, almost 2nd and 10. You all of a sudden become very predictable when that's the case for your offense.
Washington bringing it again. Shelley trying to beat it. Over the top, a deep ball dropped in and pulled in by Brian Thompson, who's been injured most of the season. His first catch is a 30-yarder to the 16.
The 6'2", 205-pound sophomore comes up in a big way. Working on Jordan Miller. Look at the touch. Drops it right in the bucket. The question is, did he hold on as he goes to the ground?
No.
He did not.
Womp.
You got to credit Jordan Miller for the late hands. I think that may have disrupted a little bit the concentration.
The ruling on the field of a catch is under review.
This is why we can't have nice things in the form of offense.
Well, you knew at some point they were going to take a shot. And that's one of the things with this Utah offense that's changed since Jason Shelley has taken over. They average about 6 shots plus 20 yards downfield a game. With Tyler Huntley, it was only about 3 per game. We talked to offensive coordinator Troy Taylor about it. He said, look, my offense is flexible. I try to adapt to what my quarterback does well. And he's a good deep ball thrower. As you can see, a lot of air on it, perfect placement.
You mentioned Troy Taylor. That's one real interesting connection we've not mentioned tonight. The O-coordinator for Utah is Jake Browning's old high school coach.
Yeah.
At Folsom High School here in California.
What a great story he told us about Jake Browning. There's Troy Taylor. And he said, you know, it took me a couple games to really feel like it was it, and it was about how slow the game was for him. You know, seeing the field as a high school, he was explaining a play in the red zone and everything that he saw. And I said, wait for a second. His first game, he threw 10 touchdown passes. That wasn't the moment that you knew Jake Browning was special?
What kind of offense were you running there?
No, and you could tell he's had success every year. Talked to Kyle Whittingham, and you ask him, you know, what was the reason for bringing Troy Taylor in? And he said, look, a couple years ago, felt like we needed a spark. We needed to do something different. And I had my eye on him back to his time at Folsom. And I eventually, you know, watched him as he got to Eastern Washington. And once he proved himself there, I thought, all right, this is going to be a good fit.
He had the #1 passing offense at the FCS level at Eastern Washington. And so that stay there was a pretty short one before Kyle Whittingham brought him on. trying to invigorate the passing game, but we've gone back to a run-first team. As you mentioned, he's flexible in the approach.
He's big on progressions, and we'll get to that in a second once we get the call. I think we all know what it's going to be.
After review, the pass was incomplete. 3rd down. Please reset the game clock to 12 minutes, 41 seconds, 12:41.
When you talk about progressions, that's going to come into play here on 3rd down. But, you know, he doesn't ask his quarterbacks to read the defense and then do what they do based on what the defense does. He just says, look, here's your progression. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all through all eligible guys. And your eyes working through the progression will allow you to move the defense so you don't have to manipulate them on your own. Tries to simplify things and make it easy on them.
On his freshman, Jason Shelley, 3-0, 10's taken over the starting job for the injured Tyler Huntley. Battling from behind tonight, working off play action on 3rd and long. Well protected and finds an open man, Damari Simpkins. Settling in the zone for a gain of 16 to convert 3rd down.
A little play action pass. This Utah offensive line provides nice protection. Only a 4-man rush playing zone coverage.
They hand it off to Devin Brumfield. His first carry of the night goes for a short gain. He's stopped by Levi Onzarike.
And just going back to the last conversion, I mean, that's what's allowed this offense to be able to still be productive. As Jason Shelley's not bothered by the lack of production in the first half. Comes back around, throws a strike, sees the soft spot in the zone coverage.
High snap, pulled down, and he's swallowed up by Ryan Bowman, the former walk-on out of Bellevue, Washington, who's part of a very talented defensive front for the Huskies, and it's 3rd down and long again.
I mean, look, it's tough sled. I don't care who you are. Doesn't matter if you're Tua Tagovailoa or Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, guys who went to New York for the Heisman. I don't care who you are. It's tough to convert when it's this predictable you're throwing. And in this case, it looks like Washington's going to be dropping a bunch of guys into coverage.
They are right here within Matt Gay's field goal range. Shelley has it knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Joe Tryon. It'd be a 52-yarder or so from here for Gay.
And he has really come on late in this season. There's every bit of that 6'5" frame. He gets his hands up into the passing lane. Washington brings the pressure with Burke Curvin. If Shelley doesn't get that football off, he's going to be taking a hit. Talked about it before, you know, these two teams are so well coached. If they can't get to the quarterback, they know what to do. They know to put their hands up, try to bat down the football.
And what a weapon, Brady, this is right here. Matt Gay, who has 7 makes of 50-plus in his career. This officially from 53. From long range, he does it again and ties the game. Scraping it over the crossbar.
The 2017 Luke Rosa Award winner coming up big time for the Utes.
Just barely. 3 and just witnessed one of the most exciting non-game winning field goals in the history of football right there.
You're pretty pumped about it.
It was
a good call.
Thanks, Brady. I'm just looking for something. But it's tight with 11:17 to go in the 3rd. With a spot on the Rose Bowl at stake. This is a short kick. Sean McGrew from the 10. Stop to the 20. Time now for the expectation-shattering drive of the game, sponsored by Buick. First scoring drive of the day for Utah.
And really, to me, it was the steady play of Jason Shelley. A couple nice 3rd down conversions. One to his former high school teammate, Jalen Dixon, and then off the play-action pass. Finds Damari Simpkins in the middle of the field, which eventually leads to that exciting field goal you called earlier. How about
Great
that
sound effects, too.
That kiss the back of the upright?
Audio man, he did. A little kiss.
Just a kiss. What a weapon, though. And you look at their scoring percentage in the red zone for Utah. It's tremendous. The touchdown percentage not as good, but it's largely because of Gay.
Miles Gaskin gets around Chase Hansen and gets 5. You know, we talk all about Utah's struggles offensively. Washington moved the ball into Utah territory on 4 of their 5 drives, but only 3 points to show for it.
Well, the passing game hasn't really been there. I mean, to Bocelli it has. 3 for 3, 43 yards passing. To everyone else on the team, 5 for 15 for 51 yards. Something's not clicking. Something hasn't been there, and I mentioned it. Bocelli and Browning had a nice rapport last week in the Apple Cup.
Miles Gaskin is carried at 15, make it 16 times. He gets chopped down a yard short, 3rd and 1.
It's getting a little chippy down there. Got a rematch. Physical teams battling over the line of scrimmage. It's inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when a team plays another team for a second time in a season, it's going to be tight, physical, and chippy, but especially when they're two physical teams like these two. 3rd down and 1. Washington's first drive of the second half. They go to the Wildcat with Miles Gaskin. They've converted 3rd and short with this already. They try to do it again, and Gaskin has a first down to the 35 with a stop from Julian Blackman.
What helps because of the patience. That's really what sets everything up. And watch Wanberg pull around and end up helping to clear the way. This is just a power play, and Blackman's the only guy who's unblocked who's responsible to make that tackle. If not, Gaskin might hit his head on the upright. Well, I'm not sure he's tall enough. He's got the hops for it. But
yeah. He can dunk. He dunked in 8th grade.
Goalpost, a little more accurate.
34-yard line. Fresh set of downs for Jake Browning and the Huskies, trying to win their 2nd Pac-12 championship in 3 years. Here comes Savon Ahmed. Couldn't get away from Cody Barton. Got a little bit of help from Marquise Blair.
Blair, who just is one of those safeties that's back there, and he is as aggressive as it gets. Both him and Ballard have mixed back and forth between free and strong safety this season. But 6'2", only 195 pounds, he brings the thunder.
Just ejected for targeting the first meeting between these teams in the first half. It was a big loss in the 21-7 defeat.
And tough call when Gaskin's only 5'10" and you got a 6'2" safety.
Browning moved off his spot into a tight window, has Hunter Bryant for a first down near midfield. Hunter Bryant, who last season was off to a great start as a freshman, then injured his knee in the 8th game. He decided to rehab instead of have surgery, re-injured the knee during spring ball, so had surgery in June, and a lot of people kind of figured it was a lost season. He comes back in early November and has just been getting better and better. Huge cushion for Andre Bocelli to take advantage of. Another Washington first down to the 40.
Another completion to Bocelli. 4 for 4 as far as the targets and completions go. And the early downs may be the way to play, and you can see Washington's picking up their tempo too. The early downs getting more softer zone coverage, not as much man-to-man.
Ahmed, left side, gets popped. Francis Bernard. We talk about Barton and Hansen. Then there's Francis Bernard, who started his career at BYU. Arrived in August, went through all this work, taking extra classes just to become academically eligible. And he's turned into a really nice player quickly for Utah.
He pops on film, just as much as Barton and Hansen. When he's in the game, you see it. And he's back in the game now because the Utah defense trying to match the personnel of Washington. They're anticipating a run because of the personnel that's currently on the field.
Couple tight ends in there to block for a screen to Aaron Fuller. Chopped down by Julian Blackman. 3rd down.
And that's been that battle of X's and O's. And we talked to Morgan Scalley about it because we said, how are you going to treat the tight ends for Washington, especially Hunter Bryant? Some teams look at him as a wide receiver. Some teams look at him as an additional tight end. And then they'll then look to kind of mix that up throughout the course of the game so Washington can't get a beat on having the advantage of personnel.
9th play of the drive is a 3rd and 7 in a tie game. Bryant is in there, part of the bunch formation to the near side. That's Fuller that motions out. On 3rd and 7, they rush only 4. So Browning with time to get through his progression, deliver a strike, but shy of the marker. Hitting Drew Sample for his first catch, and here's 4th and 1.
They've already gone for 2 earlier in this game. Why not here?
Yeah.
If it's short enough, maybe that quarterback sneak. Or they go to the Wildcat with Gaskin. The interesting thing is the personnel on the field, they haven't run a ton from that.
They stick Browning under center. Gaskin the running back, and Utah loads up right over the center. He does sneak it. And he might have fallen forward for enough. The initial surge, he wasn't going to have it, but looks like maybe falling over the 30-yard line with a first down.
Well, here's the technique. Here's the art of a quarterback sneak. You got to find those gaps right there. That's where you want to try to go with the football. You can see Jake Browning's trying to get there. It's tough, though. Those D linemen are submarining your offensive line. Got to be athletic. It's not so easy to convert those. I know it seems easy when you're sitting on your couch at home, man, but a lot of stuff going on there in front of you.
Boy, he like went through a progression like it was a pass play. Scanned the field and found a little seam. So first down from the 30 and off play action. Browning into the flats, a low throw, skipping it to Cade Otton, 2nd and 10.
Jordan Chin, wide receiver for Washington, is getting a lot of playing time. I actually thought he was open. Browning elected to go with the safer pass to Cade Otton now in the flat. Chin on the season, I don't believe has a catch.
No, the receiver group is just not deep. You've got Fuller as the leading receiver, Bocelli coming on. Jones hadn't done much lately. Then there's Cook, Bynum, and Chin, who have all seen time. They combined to have 1 catch. Another long Washington drive. This is the 12th play. It's 2nd and 10. It's Browning to throw. He steps up. He's being chased. He'll take off with a flag down, likely holding as Browning slides down inside the 25.
Well, Mika Tafua was chasing down Browning from the backside, working against Trey Adams.
Number 58, 10-yard penalty. Replay 2nd down.
But they're going to call on the right tackle, Caleb McGarry. One of the most experienced players. 41 straight starts right here. He's working on Penasini. And right there, see as he looks to pull away, and excuse me.
It's Max Tupai.
Yeah, Tupai. But as he looks to pull away, you know, clearly he's got too much cloth, and the officials are going to always see that when a quarterback's scrambling that way.
So 2nd and 20. It's a screen for Ahmed. Got a block. And got 8 yards.
It was McGarry leading the way with that block, atoning for his previous mistake. With as many 4th downs as Washington has gone for, you got to wonder when you're in a 3rd and long, somewhere in the back of your mind, if you're Bush Hamden, you're talking to Chris Peterson and saying, do we have 2 downs here? Or are we going to potentially kick a field goal? And if you're Jake Browning, you can't do what Jason Shelley did at the end of the 1st half and take a sack. Can't be back any further.
Yeah, they've gone for it on 4th down tonight already 3 times. On 3rd and 12, Utah showing pressure. And bringing the house against Browning, trying to beat it over the top, incomplete. Bocelli and Fuller running a rub route, and the ball sailing over the head of Fuller with a coverage from Jalen Johnson, and it's 4th and long.
You called it a house blitz from Utah. What that means is eventually there's going to be a free rusher. Browning knows he's got to get the football out, but because of the collision, they were trying to run a pick play on the outside to free up Bocelli. But instead he wanted to go to Fuller. Nothing was there.
So 4th and 12, maybe quick kick territory here, or are they going to go?
I'd go for it. I mean, you're kind of too close. I don't know if it's worth it to really quick kick. Try to work to Bocelli. He's been productive so far in this game.
They are going to try for it. Browning scrambling, throwing on the move. There is Bocelli, but Utah, as they've done all night, so good in the open field. Julian Blackman brings him down, and a turnover on downs. Another Washington sustained drive that ends with no points. Late in the 3rd quarter in the Pac-12 championship game, it is 3-3 in a battle of the defenses that have been the best. Aerial coverage of tonight's game brought to you by our good neighbors at State Farm. Utah back on offense. Before they go, we check in with Petros.
Guys, they have a lot of trouble with skill position injuries. We know that TJ Green is sick. Britton Covey, who got hurt on the kickoff return to open the half, went in the injury tent, went off the field, big brace on the right knee. He's back and he's on crutches.
All right, and as you saw him there on the sideline, doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon. It's Armand Shine with a 1st down reception.
That doesn't just hurt their offense, but also in particular on 3rd down where he's targeted a bunch. It hurts their return game. And this matchup earlier this year, that was big for field position for Utah, which they just didn't take advantage of. number of turnover and downs in the red zone, but it's something to keep an eye on. Who's going to step up in its place, not only on offense, but also on special teams.
Yet another thing Utah tries to overcome in a season where it's been seemingly battle after battle that they've had to figure out a way to get through. And here is TJ Green, who's battling through a sickness, getting 4 yards, swung down by JoJo McIntosh. And 3rd and 1. Green, really talented, really explosive freshman running back from Chandler, Arizona.
He's quick and he's elusive when he gets out there in space. He's got the ability to just kind of put his foot in the ground and change direction and moves tacklers. But this is where Utah needs to live, in these 3rd and short scenarios. Much easier with that offensive line to find a way of converting. Jason Shelley, part of the running game too, that always helps.
And most of the 3rd downs tonight have been 3rd and long. Dixon window dressing in motion, and then the snap was dropped, and it might have cost him. Shelley tries to sneak it after dropping the snap.
And this is the key. Watch his hands. See if they separate. See how he almost clasped?
Yeah, almost
before
the
the ball
opposite
even
of
got
separating.
There. And usually if you're the center, you're snapping to that top hand. It's always important as a quarterback to put pressure up on your center so he knows where to snap the football. We can feel it.
They're going to measure it.
A lot of times when you've got, again, an inexperienced quarterback, guys used to being in shotgun, that plays a factor. You want to do some of those little fundamental things right. Changes how the center snaps when he's got a bunch of those defensive linemen right up in his grill.
Oh boy, get out your credit card.
Wow.
Wow. Chris Coit calls it a 1st down, and Chris Peterson saying, "You got that good eyes?" Like a fraction of an inch. Confidently pumps his fist. 1st down.
Let's take another look. I mean, it's tough to tell. I think he'd get a little bit closer. He's standing like 3 yards away. And Peterson's not excited about it.
Boy, that is a big, big call, and a 1st down for Utah.
Not worth a challenge, though.
Off play action. Shelley in trouble, able to step away from one, throws on the move. He's got Dixon. A 1st down to the 48.
Natural chemistry coming from high school out to Salt Lake together. And you can tell when things break down, Jason Shelley really looks for Jalen Dixon. His receptions and targets have increased as Jason Shelley's become the starting quarterback for the Utes.
They run it right into a blitz up the middle, and it winds up being Ryan Bowman that stops Armand Shine. But pretty good 1st down gain of 4 or 5. You know, Utah this season, they start conference play 0-2. Then they lose their starting quarterback, Tyler Huntley. Then they lose their starting running back, one of the best in the country, in Zach Moss. They've trailed in 7 of their 9 wins. Tonight they lose Britton Covey. And again have had really hardly any offense, but here they are still trying to overcome that with a shot of their 1st trip to the Rose Bowl. Shelley scans to the wide side. That ball's juggled and picked, and headed the other way is Byron Murphy. A game-changing play. 66 yards to the house. Defense with the 1st touchdown tonight.
The 2nd interception of the night, and really, it's neither quarterback's fault. This is just unfortunate as the OC Mariner somehow doesn't get that football in, and there's Byron Murphy for his 3rd interception of the season. A game-changing play for the Huskies, taking all the air out of this stadium for the Utah crowd.
Hard to throw it much better.
No, I mean, that was right on the money, much like we saw with Jake Browning's interception to Ty Jones. I mean, wide receivers so far tonight having a hard time getting a grip on the football. You got the sense that Utah is starting to gain a little bit of momentum. The home crowd's on our side in front of us. And as that drive was going down, I think there was a greater sense of of hope moving forward.
And so it's Byron Murphy, who some people project as a first-round pick next year, taking it all the way back for the Washington touchdown. He's a guy who has a good chance to be first-team all-conference player. Jimmy Lake, his defensive coordinator, says his ball skills are such that he could probably be an all-conference receiver if they wanted him to do that. This was a pretty easy catch. Popping right in front of him. Takes advantage. Takes it to the end zone. And, of course, defense for the first touchdown tonight. Front 10-3 before the kickoff, down to Bruce.
Joe, after the play, you had all the teammates celebrating around Byron Murphy. Chris Peterson, though, came over to him, really exacerbated, and looked at him and goes, "What are you doing? Come on!" And just was really frustrated and walked away because they got that penalty.
Yeah, they were flagged for that, and that, of course, will be enforced here on the kickoff. The one thing that they have going for them is that Britton Covey is out of the game, and so they don't have to hold their breath with Covey about to touch it. Instead, Damari Simpkins, who's talented but is not Covey when it comes to the return game. A matchup of two of the top defenses in the conference. It's a defensive score that breaks the 3-3 tie. Utah set to get good field position as Simpkins hurdles his way across the 40. Going to take another break. The Pac-12 championship. The winner to the Rose Bowl. Back in a moment.
Of the season, they're in the bottom half of the Pac-12 as far as generating some of those interceptions. A bit surprisingly, because tough to complete footballs against, or I should say get yards after the completion.
Surprising too that it's their first defensive touchdown of the year, something they've been known for under Chris Peterson. So they've got the lead again at 10-3 inside of a minute left in this third quarter. Freshman quarterback Jason Shelley handed it off to Armand Shine. Ran into his own man. They got a short gain. Stopped by Shane Bowman.
Yeah, Umana got blocked back into Armand Shine, and largely because of Greg Gaines. That's the anchor of the Washington defense. When you look at them up front, there's a reason why Ben Burke-Irvin has so many tackles. It's a guy like Greg Gaines who eats up those offensive linemen and allows him to roam free.
The old coordinator Troy Taylor for Utah said he thinks that Greg Gaines is probably the best D lineman they've played. Into one-on-one, incomplete, but a flag down as he went for Solomon Enos with the defense from Jordan Miller.
It's tight coverage, maybe a little grabby as he was going upfield.
Holding of an eligible receiver. Defense number 23. 10-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Solomon Enos has some speed. Look at the outside move to get back inside. Clearly, Miller grabbing on, holding on for dear life. And look, you'd much rather give up that penalty than potentially a touchdown, right? And allow Utah to tie up this football game. So not the worst thing in the world.
Enos going to have a good career at Utah. True freshman out of Phoenix. Curtis Enos' son. Here's a shot. Going back towards Enos. This time, it is Miller getting the better of him for an interception.
They tried to go back to it one more time. Enos with that speed, challenging Jordan Miller. And you can see they're working one-on-one right here. And it's Miller who does a better job this time as Enos goes to the outside. See how he gets a hand on Enos, forces him, widens him, and then he becomes the receiver and makes the play on the football. That is textbook technique by Miller for his second interception of the season.
Coming right at the pylon cam. You okay with him throwing that ball up? I know somewhat of a size advantage, one-on-one. What do you think?
You'd like to give your guys chances and opportunities, and he's a freshman, so maybe he's got a better rapport with them, trying to take some of those shots downfield.
Jordan Miller with the interception. Senior out of Oceanside, California. Back-to-back possessions ended with picks by this Washington defense against a guy that hadn't thrown an interception in Jason Shelley since taking over the starting job a month ago.
Sometimes you're down, you feel like you need to make something happen. You try to take a chance, try to make a play. In a tight game like this, you just got to keep making good decisions.
From the 6, play action for Browning, and wide open is Cade Otten. Breaks a tackle and gets 8 yards. Pushed out by Jalen Johnson.
I love the play call, though. You know, you threaten them with a little play action fake to make the defense think it's run because you're backed up. But then you get your quarterback an easy completion out into the flat to pick up some additional yards, and you're at least helping out your punter if they can't convert.
Not much has been easy for the offenses tonight. 10-3 to the 4th quarter of the Pac-12 championship. 15 minutes decide who's headed to Pasadena. 4th quarter of the Pac-12 championship on Fox, presented by Dr. Pepper. Tomorrow, championship weekend continues on Fox. Ohio State trying to keep its playoff hopes alive against a Big Ten championship game first-timer in Northwestern, with coverage starting at 7 Eastern on Fox. Watch anywhere on the Fox Sports app.
Can Northwestern slow down that high-powered passing attack led by Dwayne Haskins? And can Ohio State do enough? Maybe get in the college football playoff.
Out of the Wildcat, it's Gaskin for a first down to open this 4th quarter, with Washington leading Utah 10-3. So another way to put it is Utah's got them right where they want them, right? 7 of their 9 wins this year come from behind it.
Well, look, ball security has been crucial in this game thus far. Obviously, it's led us to the score at the moment. But if you're Washington, this is where they like to be too, where it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. They eat up time of clock, they run the football, stay ahead of the sticks, just keep converting.
Saw him do that in the snow last week at Washington State, grinding that clock down in the 4th quarter. Gaskin on the edge, nowhere to go. Dropped behind the line of scrimmage by Corian Ballard.
Ballard's had a bunch of tackles tonight, but it's all because Utah's setting edges. Meaning they're not letting the rushers for Washington get to the outside. That time, it was Cody Barton. It forces the running back inside where everyone's in pursuit. This is a well-coached football team for the Utah defense. Everyone's rallying to the football, trying to make a play.
And I'm sure if you told Morgan Scalley and you told Kyle Whittingham that they'd hold Myles Gaskin to 67 yards at this point, they would have liked their chances.
Similar to last year's matchup, right? Not as much production for Gaskin. It was Browning had a huge day.
Here he's got time, runs into the arms of Lucky Fotu and succumbs to the big fella on a gain of 2. 3rd and long.
Well, they've run this play a number of times. It's the crossing patterns in front you're going to see. And the tight end's going to try to sit over the football. No one's there. The Utah defense has this figured out, and as Browning takes off, they're also very aware of Browning rushing on 3rd down, or excuse me, rushing when nothing's there, now leading him to a 3rd and long. It's been Bocelli past 2 games. He's been the wide receiver that it seems like Browning feels most comfortable with targeting.
Utah backs off with 7 in coverage. A twist, able to flush Browning from his spot. Throws on the move to Drew Sample. A drive extender on 3rd and long. Jake Browning extends the play and finds his tight end for 17.
This is what defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley was concerned with, is once Browning buys time, he keeps his eyes downfield and he ends up finding Sample for the big play. And this is not by design. This is a good job by Drew Sample, going back to the outside, going to the side the quarterback's scrambling to. He actually had a basic route or an in route going the opposite way, but he changed course.
First down from the 37. Gaskin patiently waited for a hole to develop. It never did. Instead, he met Bradley a 9.
It's the same play they ran last week for touchdown against Washington State. Again, they're trying to press the front side, trying to get Cody Barton and Chase Hansen to suck up into the line of scrimmage and then find a seam to the outside once he changes direction.
These guys are so disciplined on defense. Veteran group led by those senior linebackers in Barton and Hansen. 30 and 22. 2nd and 10. Bocelli in motion. They fake it to him. Browning with a deep drop. Deep routes developing but covered. And so he checks it down to Ahmed. He made one man miss. Chase Hansen finished him off, and again it's 3rd down.
I think he had a chance there. Hunter Brown was running up the seam. Aaron Fuller was coming across. He could have taken a shot at either 2, but wise decision, checks it down, keeps it within 3rd and manageable.
Not seen more than 1 or 2 true shots downfield from him tonight. That was 1 week after they average about 20 yards per completion. 3rd and 6. Browning to Bocelli, who's wide open, and he's got just enough for a first down. Might have had a whole lot more had Browning kept him on his feet, but the drive extended again.
And this is just a pick route, so he's going to work up and work out, and then really it's Fuller creating the traffic, and it makes it difficult to run through. And he's running a route, right? So it's legal. He's not making contact with the defender. Bocelli would have kept his feet. Could have been a lot more there.
It's another big day for Bocelli, who seems to really be gaining confidence. Browning motions out. They get ready to snap it to Gaskin. It's a trick play. Browning sets his feet right back to Gaskin, who gets a couple. Boy, they've tried to run a couple trick plays tonight. Utah's been ready for both.
Well, he had Hunter Bryant. I mean, Jake Browning had enough time, too, if he was going to be looking for him. So keep an eye right here, okay? And once Browning drops back, he's going to leak out up the sideline. All these tricks and different gadgets that you got in your playbook. Chris Peterson wants to dial him up. Look at that. And he's got all that room.
Just didn't see him.
And look, it's sometimes when you put in this gadget play, you feel like you only have time for one progression. So he was probably looking downfield, wasn't thinking Bryant was going to be open.
Go from the Wildcat to an empty set on 2nd down and 7 with the play clock winding down. They just get it off. And again, flushed out of the pocket and will run. Shows off a good burst to get a first down to the Utah 40.
I think some Utah fans were thinking there might have been a hole. It's Browning once again utilizing his legs. He's a scrambler. Not sure really there was much there. Opportunistic runner. I don't think he gets enough credit for his athleticism. You know, you see how prolific he's been throughout his time in Washington. He's a good athlete. He's tough, man. He's taken some hits throughout the year, and he just keeps getting back up, keeps fighting.
On this drive, his feet have been a big part of the difference. Extending plays and running for yardage. Ahmed here, up the middle. For 8 yards on first down.
You think about the impact of Jake Browning since him and a guy like Myles Gaskin have gotten to Washington, the impact it's had on Chris Peterson and his career here, and really bringing back this school. Back to what I think a lot of Huskies fans remember.
Stretch play for Ahmed. Wow, what a play by Marquise Blair. A flag is down as he rockets in from the secondary to drop Ahmed for a short loss.
Holding. Offense, number 56. 10-yard penalty. Replay 2nd down.
It's on the center, Nick Harris.
Yeah, you don't see that too often, but it's tough once you get out there in space, and he's going to be coming from the right side of your screen. And he just comes with a reckless abandon, looking for the middle of the field. All the way down. I was talking to General Manager John Lynch for the San Francisco 49ers before the game, and we're talking about some of the personnel, some of the guys you're looking at. He goes, tell you what, that number 13 for Utah is a guy to keep an eye on playing on Sundays.
It's a guy that knows a little bit about safety play.
Yeah. And Adam Peters, the Vice President, Director of Player Personnel.
2nd down and long. Ahmed shaking. Able to turn the corner, get a bunch back, set up a 3rd and short. 8:07 to go as Washington continues to churn clock.
It's been the right side of that offensive line, though, for Washington all year. They've really leaned on it. I think, you know, Hilbers was at the left tackle spot, got injured last week. Now it's back to Trey Adams. They almost averaged 50 more attempts to that right side over the left. Very productive for him.
Brady, here they go back to the Wildcat. 13th play of the drive. Myles Gaskin. Going to be close. Looks like he's got it.
When you look at this Utah defense, they got to be getting worn out. They've already faced 65 plays so far tonight, to Utah only running 38. Let's take another look. It's the Wildcat power play. Wattenberg once again pulling around to lead the way. Give him the first.
The previous play is under review related to the line to gain.
We'll check the spot here. And while they take a look, we'll take a break. 7:22 left. Hands on the spot, and so Myles Gaskin using good strength at lower half to extend for another couple of yards and get a first down. Washington has the drive going right now, Brady. 13 plays. They've traveled 65 yards and run off almost 9 minutes of clock.
Yeah, it's just wearing on a defense that has been on the field a lot. They're approaching 70 plays. It's 66 right now, but they're going to get another 3. Look at Bush Hamden. He's putting together quite the game plan. Mixing personnels. This team has really found its identity. It's been running the football, utilizing a lot of depth at the tight end position for them this season.
Got 2 tight ends on the field here. They'll let Browning throw on first down. He swings it outside, and Jacob Kaiser with a pickup close to another first down, bumped out by Cody Barton.
And the tough thing for the Utah defense is, and defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley knows this, he played. He was a great safety for the Utes. But it's tough when things break down and you've got to continue to cover, especially whenever you're in man-to-man, but even in zone sometimes. It's hard to be able to cover a guy for that long when you've got Jake Browning back there buying time and finding guys who are on the backside of the progression.
Clock winding near 6.5 minutes. They're now within Peyton Henry's field goal range. Ahmed at running back. He's got it. Hit in the backfield and drop. Drop for a loss. Barton was there with Tafua. And third down, Utah's got to have it here.
I think the interesting thing is that the decision to run or pass. You'd like to keep the clock running. Obviously, you want to get the first down here, so you don't have to just kick a field goal. You're thinking probably something more of a high completion percentage pass if you go that way. Otherwise, not the worst thing in the world if you've got the ability to run the football to ensure that the clock keeps running.
On the 16th play of the drive, he's under pressure. He heaves it outside. He's got Bocelli, who extends the ball. Where do they spot him? They spot him 1.5 yards short.
Well, Utah elected to once again bring a house pressure. This is going to be the free defender, and you noted it, Joe. He gets this ball out early and in a spot where Bocelli can get to it and at least have the chance. I thought when he extended it, it was enough to be past the marker for a first down. This is looked close. It's a gutsy call, though, by Washington.
And now timeout. I wonder if they're going to take a look at this.
Timeout, Washington. Their first of the half.
Chris Peterson may be giving him some time to. Also some time to think about this 4th down and 1 call. And a 10-3 game with 5:18 left. Very close. Andre Bocelli extending that football. We've got these 2 looks synced up. And it's when the ball crosses that imaginary sideline that he would be marked out. And by that, it looks like it was the appropriate spot. And so during that timeout, Chris Peterson changes his mind. Instead of going for it on 4th and 1, put it on the freshman Peyton Henry to try and make this a 2-score game from 38 yards. It's blocked! The one phase where Utah figured it had a distinct advantage. Special teams keeps their hopes alive with 5:10 left.
And I think it may have been Mika Tafua to get a hand on it. There was a lot of penetration. Let's take another look. And this kick was lower than it needed to be, but it's tough to tell amongst that scrum the mess. I actually think it might have been John Penasini.
Yep.
Big number 52 gets a fingertip, just enough. What a stop by the Utah defense.
Aerial coverage of tonight's game brought to you by our good neighbors at State Farm. And here we are in the fourth quarter in a 10-3 game. John Penasini blocking the field goal. Junior out of West Jordan, Utah, who they say never stops smiling. Nobody loves football as much as John Penasini, Morgan Scally said. And what a big play to keep the Utes' hopes alive here. 5:10 left in a 10-3 game. The freshman Shelley throws in rhythm to Jalen Dixon. And Brady, how about this? That's the first offensive play for the Utes in the fourth quarter.
It's unbelievable. I mean, the time of possession is completely out of whack. Washington's had the football 20 minutes more in this game than Utah. I mean, that is just incredible. One tendency here, though, is Utah's going to pick up, maybe run more of a 2-minute drive because of this time scenario. Shelley likes to work the boundary, meaning the short side of the field, a little bit easier completion for him.
He's flushed from his spot. Now throws incomplete, dangerously behind Nakua. Byron Murphy in coverage, and it's third down.
Anytime you get a quarterback off his spot, it cuts down on his vision, his ability to see the defense. This one was close. Byron Murphy almost get another hand in on the football.
The Utes tonight just 137 yards of offense. Can they find it late like they did against BYU last week? Shelley hit as he let it go. It's Murphy again. The third Washington pick tonight.
Washington decides to bring a pressure once again. Getting Jason Shelley a little bit off the spot. Hey, diddle diddle, let's send a guy up the middle.
Nice.
And once Rapp's got a free run, Shelley knows he's got to take off. He ends up seeing Simpkins open downfield, but it's Byron Murphy who takes advantage of just an inaccurate throw. And you wonder if Joe Tryon got a hand on it to affect that.
Hadn't been intercepted in his 3 games as a starter before tonight. 3 of them tonight.
Defensive coordinator Jimmy Lake for Washington said, look, we want to put the pressure on his shoulders, stop the run, try to force him to be in a position where he has to beat us with his arm.
Miles Gaskin stopped for a loss by Francis Bernard. Now the pressure back on the Utah defense.
If you're Kyle Whittingham, you have to start thinking about using these timeouts depending on how this first series goes for Washington. The biggest key here is not allowing them to get into field goal range where they make this into a 2-score game.
Long in the season for Peyton Henry, 41 yards. Hit a 45-yarder as a high schooler. So they need to get to the 28 to be within that range. Out of the Wildcat on second down. Gaskin. Not much.
And the question's really going to be, depending on what happens here as Utah calls their first time out, is Jason Shelley's psyche. How does he come back? 3 of his last 5 pass interceptions. How does he respond from that?
Take a 30-second break. Third down when we come back. 3 Washington. And we take a look at our built, forward, proud, unstoppable player. The only guy with a touchdown in this game is the corner, Byron Murphy.
We all saw that coming, right? I mean, look, he's taken advantage of mistakes by Utah. The first one, really, Sione Mariner not being able to bring in that football. And then the last one, the ball's thrown a bit behind. Simpkins falls down trying to adjust to it. He takes advantage.
How good has our referee cam been tonight?
It's pretty cool. Wish we could make that a normal thing.
Third down and 10 here for Washington. Running against a 4-man rush, well protected. He's been effective with his feet so far tonight. Here, he only gets a couple. Bradley and I brings him down inside 3.5 minutes. Fourth down and 8 or 9.
Boy, he went down awkwardly, though. Bradley and I, when attacking from the backside, that did not look good. It's always the guy you don't see. Good ball security, though. Smart to tuck it, but just the way he goes down to the ground, you can see him wincing in pain. But the smart play is that he forces Utah to use yet another timeout. That's the biggest key. Less experienced quarterback, he may try to force a football in there, ends up stopping the clock, plays in the hands of what Utah wants you to do.
Too far for Peyton Henry. It'll be a 53-yarder from here. So they're going to send the punt team and Joel Whitford out. And again, if you happen to just be joining us, the dangerous return man Britton Covey done for the night with an injury. So it's Damari Simpkins back to return it. Well done. Down to the 6. Big Ten championship coming up tomorrow night. Ohio State trying to make one last case for the playoff as they take on Northwestern. 7 o'clock Eastern on Fox. You can watch it anywhere on the Fox Sports app.
How about the job Pat Fitzgerald has done at Northwestern? Didn't win a out-of-conference game this year, but took care of the Big Ten West. They play teams and just force them to kind of play ugly. And they've won a lot of those games. Can't count out the Wildcats.
So here we go. 3:24 left in this one. They've not found the end zone yet tonight. Trying to do so with probably their last opportunity. Swing it outside. Jalen Dixon dancing around. Stopped by Rapp, who was checked out by the training staff earlier. Able to make the tackle there. Second down.
But they got to start throwing the football more vertically down the field. We saw a couple shots early on. They ended up getting a defensive holding out of it, but the next pass to Enos ended up being an interception. Haven't really come back to many of those shots since then.
On 2nd and 6 with 8 in coverage. Wide open underneath. Samson Nakua barrels his way for a first down.
And look, Washington's going to allow you to complete those short passes because they're going to rally up, make the tackle. They're going to force the clock to keep running. Time is your biggest enemy right now.
With 1 timeout left, 2:40 and counting. Put it on the ground with Shine. Then Burr-Kirven stands him up. 2nd and 6. Clock continues to run.
And if you're going to be running the football, you're just hoping for a big play. You're going to have the numbers. You should have the blocking up front, but it hasn't been successful tonight.
Again, they drop 8. So Shelley with time. Dixon comes open, and he's got another first down. Bumped out of bounds at the 36.
That's just an example of him working through his progressions. You look to the right first, didn't have C.O.C. Mariner. Ended up coming back again to his high school teammate. Utah loves, by the way, these quarterback wide receiver combinations, the high school teammates. Tyler Huntley.
With Damari Simpkins out of Hollandale.
Yeah.
Pressure coming this time. It's in the hands of Dixon. He crosses the 45. He's close to another first down as it winds inside 2 minutes. They spun him with enough, and so the clock stops.
Start rolling again.
Back to the ground. Shine has a seam. 2nd and 3.
Let's go back to last week. This Utah team coming back from 20 points down to beat BYU. It came via some plays downfield, but also the quarterback, Shelley, making some plays with his feet. You wonder if that's going to come into play at some point as Utah made a substitution, so Washington gets the opportunity to, and the clock keeps running.
On 2nd down, Shelley underneath again with Nakua. Another first down to the 40. They've been doing it all season. 7 of their 9 wins, they've been doing it in come-from-behind fashion. 3rd largest comeback ever at Utah last week.
You got to take a shot at some point. There's going to be Simpkins on the outside, Nakua up the seam.
Shelley well protected again. Throws it to the sideline and might have been better off with that not being caught. TJ Green has it, 45 seconds. Lost a yard.
At least it stopped the clock. That's probably the only saving grace there.
Utah in the Pac-12 championship game for the first time, looking for their first trip to the Rose Bowl. Can Washington hang on for their first trip since 2000? Second and long. It's Dixon who gets blown up. Keith Taylor will force Utah to use its final timeout with 38 seconds.
And I'll tell you what, Utah had the right play call, just couldn't execute it. Keith Taylor made the play, but if he didn't, there was a lot of green grass. Washington decided to bring up pressure. Taylor Rapp was involved too, and there you see Keith Taylor with a sound tackle in space versus Jalen Dixon.
Take a look at Road to the Ring, sponsored by Jared. Dare to be devoted. It'll be a fun championship weekend sorting this all out.
Well, the big debate's going to be Oklahoma or Ohio State, and maybe neither gets in if Georgia beats Alabama. That's one of those topics of discussion. But at this point, clearly the committee looks at Oklahoma a little bit more favorable. They probably have a better win too, given that Texas is ranked higher, and that was their only team they lost to this year, so they'd be avenging that loss. Ohio State going up against Northwestern. Maybe they need one of those big performances like we saw from them versus Wisconsin back in 2014. Different because Wisconsin was 11 back then, higher ranked than what Northwestern is this year.
What are you looking for here on 3rd and 12?
Well, I mean, you need to get the first down, even though you're still battling time with no timeouts. But if you get the first down, you're going to at least get a stop clock and give yourself an opportunity to send it to the end zone. And what Washington's been doing is playing a too-high shell, basically forcing you to throw the football in the middle of the field. If they end up playing two-man here, meaning man underneath, too deep, Shelley could also take off and run for it.
On 3rd and long. Scrambles and throws, incomplete. And so 4th and 12, and Utah down to its last breath.
Well, in this scenario too, if you're Jason Shelley, just give someone an opportunity. Too many times, quarterbacks end up throwing short, or they end up taking a sack. Doesn't matter, it's 4th down. This is the ball game, so you got to take a shot, got to give someone a chance.
You've been perfect on this drive before that throw.
You got to wonder too if they're going to work towards Jalen Dixon, his high school teammate up here in the slot.
Steps into one, incomplete, and no flag. Washington's going to head to the Rose Bowl for the first time since 2000.
And guess who? Byron Murphy, who's been everything for the Huskies tonight. He's had himself just a phenomenal game. And it looked like it may have been a little bit early. Right here, working on COC Mariner. Watch the break on the football. See if there's contact at the top. It looks close. This would be a great angle. Clearly early. And crucial no call, considering how that would have impacted the rest of this drive. Clearly, head coach Kyle Whittingham's frustrated.
And with no timeouts, that's the game. What a night for Byron Murphy and the Washington defense, providing the game's only touchdown and sending the Huskies to their 2nd Pac-12 championship over the last 3 seasons. Kyle Whittingham still letting the officiating crew know of his displeasure with a non-call on 4th down. Lowest scoring championship game in the short history of the Pac-12 championship.
But for Utah, what a step for Kyle Whittingham and his crew. I know they didn't get ultimately what they wanted to, but still outright Pac-12 South Division title, first chance here. I'm sure they'll be back. And for Washington, overcoming, what was somewhat of a disappointing season, but ultimately winning the Pac-12 and now a chance to go to the Rose Bowl.
After losing 2 of 3 in October, they win their final 4 leading into the Rose Bowl. We'll take one more look at that final Utah play, looking for Mariner. Murphy beat the ball there.
And that's going to be pass interference. The end of a game like this, like Chris Peterson, he doesn't want to call, but the definition of it, Jake Browning is saying no flag, okay.
And he now stands by with Bruce Feldman.
Jake, you go up against this defense every day in practice. You had Byron Murphy making picks. You had guys making sacks. What impresses you most about this defense?
I mean, they played really well today. We did just enough on offense to, not give the ball away. We took care of the ball, and our defense, had a hell of a game. It was pretty impressive.
I saw you pacing up a storm over there on this last drive. What's going through your mind as you're watching all this?
I mean, I don't know what. I mean, our defense is really good, so I felt like we were in a good position. But, even then, it's just, you're always nervous.
I saw you took the ball already. California kid going to the Rose Bowl. For Washington, it's the first time since 2000. What does this mean to you?
It means a lot, but just gonna enjoy this one and get ready for the Rose Bowl. But it's a pretty special game and pretty special team to bounce back from what we went through and end our season on top of the pack and going to the Rose Bowl.
For you guys, you win the Apple Cup four times. This is a class, you, Ben Burr-Kirven, Myles Gaskin. What do you think the legacy of this group that you guys all came in together in Coach Pete's first class?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other people in that class and a lot of underclassmen that have done a hell of a job. And I mean, it's special and it's kind of hard to put into words right now. Just happy we won.
All right, thanks, Jake. Guys.
All right, they got the roses out. Headed back to Pasadena. What a legacy, Jake Browning in that senior class. Leaving at Washington. They're doing backflips. They're so excited. First trip back to Pasadena since 2000. And on the other side, frustration for Kyle Whittingham as the Utes' first trip to the championship game ends in a 10-3 defeat to Washington. We've got the trophy ceremony on the other side of this break. On a defensive touchdown, the Washington Huskies win the Pac-12 championship 10-3. And for the presentation of the hardware, down to Petros.
All right, it is time to give out the hardware to present the MVP trophy and the 2018 Pac-12 championship trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, the commissioner of the Pac-12, Larry Scott.
It's been an incredible Pac-12 season. Congratulations to the Huskies and the Utes on not only great seasons, but a terrific football championship game. There's a bunch of people to thank that put on this event. The city of Santa Clara, San Francisco 49ers, Levi Stadium, and our presenting sponsor, 76. Everyone comes together to make this great stage for this terrific game.
And the MVP goes to, with 2 interceptions and the touchdown that won the game, Byron Murphy. Two big interceptions, one of them a pick six, the play to end the game. Byron, what's going through your head right now?
I just knew coming into this game, the defense had to play big. Throughout the whole practice, this week of practice, defense, a hard worker week, and I just want to thank God and thank my teammates for this opportunity.
What are you thinking about what's next?
Rose Bowl, baby. We ready to play.
Congratulations.
Let's go.
Okay. Now, first I want to congratulate President of the University of Washington, Anna Marikause, Athletics Director Jen Cohen, and to Coach Pete and the Huskies, the 2018 Pac-12 Championship Trophy.
Coach, first and foremost, a game without an offensive touchdown. What can you say about this defensive battle here in Santa Clara tonight?
One awesome job by that defense. We try to pride ourselves on being kind of an old school football team. We got an old school score. We'll take it any way we can get it. I'm proud of all these guys for battling hard all season. I'm proud of Husky Nation for showing up here tonight. We appreciate you guys.
Coach, it's been 18 years since the Dogs have been in Pasadena. What does that mean for your program and these guys behind you?
It's awesome. I think when they all showed up here some years ago, that was the vision in all of our heads. To go down to Pasadena, play in that beautiful place in front of our awesome fans, and have some fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2018 Pac-12 football champions, the Washington Huskies. Rob Stone, take it.